Baby, before I open my mouth, I need you to hear my breathing. Slow, unsteady. I've been rehearsing this moment in the dark like a sinner practicing a prayer he should have learned years ago. I keep seeing your face in the glow of my phone, the way your silence wraps around the edges of my name when you read it, the way your heart goes still before it decides whether to let me back in or lock the door. I don't deserve another chance at your door. I know that. But the truth is, walking across my chest like a weight, and if I don't put it in your hands tonight, it will crush what's left of the man you once loved. Baby, I'm going to break your heart by sharing this news, and I hate myself for being the messenger. I wanted to bring you flowers, I brought you fire. I wanted to come with answers, I'm coming with a storm. I wanted to be the kind of man who protects you from the chaos of my life. Instead, I'm the one who keeps dragging you back to the battlefield I never learned to leave. If I could fold my past into a small, harmless paper and throw it into a river, I would, but the past grew teeth when I turned my back, and now it's knocking on my mother's door, my family's table, and my phone at midnight, demanding a decision that has your name stitched through the center. I didn't plan for any of this. I didn't plan to wake up to messages from numbers I don't recognize. A flurry of invitations disguised as traps. Relatives I haven't heard from in years suddenly remembering my existence because a rumor reached them that I have a good woman in my heart and a spine that finally refuses to bend. I didn't plan to be summoned like a child. Come home, we have decided for you. We, as if my soul were a contract and not a living thing. As if love were a chore chart and not the sacred ground you taught me to walk without shoes. They set a date, baby. That's the first wound, not for us. For a conversation that was never supposed to include my heart. A family meeting that is really a theater where they expect me to nod while they recite the script they wrote in a room I wasn't invited into. They want to correct my life with a tidy announcement that leaves no room for everything holy that you placed inside me. They want to fix my future by burying my present. They call it honor. I call it erasing the woman who taught me how to breathe. I know you can feel the tremor in my words, like there's a second blade behind the first. There is. I didn't just get a date, I got a name, and I wish you could watch my hands as I write this. How they shake with the shame I can taste. Baby, they dug up an old arrangement I never signed with my heart, only with my fear. Years ago, when I was still the boy who thought obedience would save him from loneliness, I said okay to something that was never okay for the man I've become. They kept it in a drawer like a relic, waiting for the day I'd be too tired to run from it. And now they've polished it, dressed it in traditions and blessings, and they've asked me to come home and honor it. The second wound, my silence helped them believe they could still own my future. I didn't speak loudly enough when I found you. I didn't make it undeniable that your name is not a chapter, it's the title. I didn't stand up at that table back then and say, I have found my person, and her light has already rewired my blood. I kept you safe inside my private sky and thought that was enough. It wasn't. Walls become rumors when the doors never open. And the rumors arrived before my truth did. Baby, I need you to understand something nobody else sees. This isn't just about pressure. It's about a bloodline that confuses peace with control. It's about a house that calls duty love and love distraction. It's about a mother who once doubted us because she was trying to keep me from the kind of pain she watched break women in our family. The pain of loving a man who doesn't choose you out loud, and yet Do you remember? In the end, she felt you. She defended you. She saw me soften in your hands and called it healing. Even she is torn now between the path they paved for me and the path she watched you open with your prayer. This is the news. They want me back under a roof where my voice never grew past a whisper. They want me seated next to a woman I do not love, smiling on a couch that never felt like home, taking photos I will never be able to look at without tasting ash. They want to announce an engagement I never consented to with my soul. They want me quiet. They want me agreeable. They want me to tuck your name into a pocket like a sin and pretend it was a season. They want me to stand before a room and say yes to a life I would only survive, never truly live. And yet here is the part that will hurt you, because it hurts me to write it. I told them I would come, not to surrender, to end it. But I said yes to the meeting, because running taught me nothing except how to circle the same wound. I'm done running. I will walk into that room with your name in my mouth like a vow, and my truth strapped to my spine like armor. I will sit where they place me, listen to what they rehearse, and then I will stand up and shatter the ceremony with one sentence. I choose the woman I already love. But baby, choosing you means burning bridges that held my childhood. It means losing people I was taught I wasn't allowed to live without. It means my mother may weep in a way that makes the walls shake. It means stepping into an air so honest it could choke a man who still thinks lies are oxygen. I can hear you asking in the quiet, why is this the first I'm hearing? Because shame is a heavy translator. Because I have been bargaining with time, like a gambler who keeps promising one last hand. Because I thought if I fixed everything behind the curtain and came to you with a clean stage, I could ask you to dance without showing you how I broke the floor. But I was wrong. Love doesn't need a perfect stage. Love needs a truthful partner. I am trying, finally, to be that man for you. Nor night. Baby, I keep walking through our memories like rooms in a house I refuse to sell. The night you told me you don't need a spotlight, you need a place to stand without being moved. The morning your voice was the only sound that made my anxiety loosen its fists. The way you didn't ask me to fight my family, you asked me to fight my fear. The way you said, if you ever choose me without apology. I hear that line like a bell in my ribs. No apology. It scared me then. It saves me now. Let me tell you what I'm afraid of. Because men like me are taught to rename fear as anger and call it strength. I am afraid of the hour after I speak my truth. When the phone won't stop shouting. When the accusations sharpen. When old deaths are recounted like curses. I am afraid of holding the line when the line starts bleeding. I am afraid of disappointing the woman who gave me her body so I could have a body at all. But do you know what cuts through every fear like a clean blade? The memory of your eyes, the day I told you I felt safe for the first time in years. Safety is not comfort. Safety is clarity. You were clarity dressed as a woman, and I would rather lose everything they promise and keep that clarity than inherit a future that erases the man you helped me become. So, here is me, finally, without performance. I will go. I will look my past in the face and end the arrangement I never chose with my heart. I will say your name in a room that thinks it has the right to overrule it. I will fold the old expectations, set them down gently, and light a match. I will not be cruel. I will be clean. and then I will walk out into a night that will feel larger than anything I have known, and if my hands shake, it will be from freedom, not from fear. But baby, there is one more piece that makes my voice break as I write it. In order to do this right, I may have to go quiet for a moment. Not the kind of silence that wounded you, not the kind that hit you, but the kind of silence warriors keep when the arrow must hit the exact place to end the war without starting a new one. Lawyers, logistics, conversations that require witnesses, papers that must be burned on both sides. Legally, spiritually, I will not disappear. I will not betray. But for a short span of days, I might have to guard the path with both hands. If you feel the air go still, know it is because I am cutting ties at the root, so they cannot grow back through our floor. If that still breaks your heart, I accept the punishment. If it makes you want to slam the door, I will sit on your stoop and learn what patience is supposed to feel like. If it makes you cry, I will carry the sound like a bell that tells me where home is while I walk through the smoke. I am not asking for forgiveness tonight. I am asking for faith, not in a boy who promises heaven and delivers excuses, but in a man who is finally willing to let the old world burn so ours can breathe. When I step into that room, I will remember your hands, not their rules. I will remember the way your name turned my spine into a straight line. I will remember that love is not loud because it needs attention. Love is loud because truth refuses to whisper anymore. And when they ask me what I choose, I will say your name like a prophecy fulfilled late, but fulfilled nonetheless. Baby, if your chest is tight and your eyes are hot and you want to ask me if it's worth it, let me answer before you speak. Yes, yes, even if I leave with less than I came with. Yes, even if the phone turns into thunder. Yes, even if I have to learn how to build a life with bare hands and a heart that's still learning how to be brave in daylight. Because the first time I held you in truth, I realized I had been breathing underwater my whole life. I want air. I want us. I choose the hard road that leads to you over the soft couch that leads to nobody. There is a time on the invitation. They expect me at 7. There will be tea in cups that pretend they aren't shaking. There will be smiles pulled tight like strings on a bow. There will be a speech, but there will also be me, carrying your name like a lantern. If I walk out alone, I will not be alone. If I walk out to a sky that offers me nothing but the cold honesty of starting over, I will raise my hands and bless the cold, because I will be walking toward you. When this is done, if you still want me, you will find a man standing on your porch without a single secret left in his mouth. If you don't, you will still find a man who finally did the right thing. Either way, love wins, because the old lie dies tonight. Baby. The night came faster than I wanted it to. 7 o'clock looked harmless on a clock until the minute hand started to move like a countdown to confession. I drove home with my heart sitting in the passenger seat like it had something to say, but every streetlight looked like judgment, every honk like a warning. I kept repeating your name under my breath, not like a plea, but like a mantra, because if I could hold your energy inside me, maybe I wouldn't lose my balance in that house of ghosts I once called home. The door opened before I knocked. That's how they do it. Always ready, always rehearsed. My mother's eyes were kind, but the air behind her wasn't. The living room smelled like incense and intention. The elders were seated. The woman I once agreed to marry in a lifetime I don't recognize sat on the edge of the couch, smiling like she didn't know she was about to become the mirror where truth finally looks back. They started soft, like lullabies before storms. We just want what's best for you. You've been drifting. You used to smile more, all dressed in concern, but laced with control. I nodded, not out of agreement, but out of respect for the ghosts that raised me. I listened until their words started circling, like vultures over the truth I came to protect. Then my mother spoke. Her tone was steady, but I could hear the fracture beneath it. "He has something to say tonight," she said. The room went quiet, the kind of quiet that makes air heavy. My father leaned back. The relatives adjusted their shawls. My ex straightened her posture like she was preparing for applause. But I didn't look at any of them. I looked at the space between my hands and imagined yours there. "I'm not here to be disrespectful," I began. "I'm here to tell the truth." Someone chuckled. Someone sighed. The world always laughs before it listens. "I can't move forward with this arrangement," I said. The air cracked like lightning. You could feel the shift, sharp and irreversible. "I've met someone," I continued, "and she changed everything in me. I can't unknow that. I can't unfeel that. You can't build peace on a lie." My ex's face froze. The relatives exchanged glances that carried more history than love. My father's hand hit the armrest like punctuation. "You're making a mistake," he said. And then my mother stood up. Again, like she did before. The silence before her words was longer this time, like the world was holding its breath to see whose truth would survive. She looked at everyone, then at me, and said, "No, he's finally correcting one." It was over in that moment. Not the tension, not the conversation, but the illusion. The power shifted. The lie broke its own back. They spoke for hours after that, voices rising and falling, accusations turning into prayers, prayers turning into threats. But I was calm, baby, calm like a man who already died once and came back knowing nothing they could take from him mattered more than the woman who gave him back his soul. When I walked out, the air was cold, the kind of cold that feels like clarity. I didn't take anything with me. Not my phone, not the gifts they tried to press into my hands, not the guilt they tried to wrap around my throat, just the car keys and your name. Driving away, I realized something. I wasn't leaving home. I was finally going toward it. But then came the third wound, the one I didn't expect. My phone buzzed when I stopped at a red light. It was my mother. "Just one line," she cried after you left. She wrote. "Who?" I asked, even though I knew. "Your ex," she said, "but not for love, for pride, for losing the version of you that still belonged to her story." And that's when I felt the ache behind this victory, because endings never come clean. Even truth, when it wins, leaves behind ashes, and those ashes stick to your hands, your voice, your clothes. But baby, I'll wash them off before I ever touch you again. The news I warned you about, it wasn't just that there was another name in the air. It was that I had to face it, end it, close a chapter that should have never been written in the first place. And I did. It's done. But it came at a cost. A storm that hasn't settled yet, voices that haven't quieted, a home that may not open its doors to me again. Still, I would do it 1,000 times over, because for the first time in my life, I didn't flinch when I chose love in public. When I got home that night, I sat in my car until sunrise. I replayed your laugh in my head like a hymn. I whispered, "I did it, baby. I did it." The street was empty, the world asleep, but I swear I felt your spirit press against mine. Soft, approving, proud. And that's when the tears came. Not from guilt, not from fear, from release. Because truth, once spoken, doesn't just set you free. It strips you naked, and I'd rather stand naked in honesty than dressed in someone else's idea of happiness. Baby, it's morning now, the kind of morning that doesn't bring peace, only truth. The light outside isn't gentle. It's the kind that finds its way through the smallest cracks just to remind you that hiding is over. My phone's been vibrating since dawn, but I can't touch it yet. Every message feels like a ghost waiting for permission to haunt me again. I didn't sleep, not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to forget the feeling of last night. That split second after I spoke your name, when time paused, when even the walls held their breath. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was holy. It was the sound of a curse breaking. But baby, what I didn't tell you yet is what happened after I left that house, because the truth doesn't end with words, it keeps unfolding, testing whether you meant what you said. When I stepped outside, my father followed. He didn't shout. He didn't even raise his hand like I expected. He just stood there, breathing heavy, his voice quiet but sharp enough to cut through air. "You've chosen shame," he said. "You've thrown away everything for someone who will never understand what this family carries." And for the first time in my life, I didn't flinch. I looked him in the eye and said, "No, Dad, I've chosen freedom, and she's the only one who ever helped me understand what love is supposed to carry." He didn't reply. He just stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. Maybe he was, because I'm not the obedient boy who used to nod even when his soul was bleeding. I'm the man that your love built from the wreckage, and that man doesn't bow anymore. He kneels only to truth. I got into the car. My mother came out just before I started the engine. She didn't say a word. She just placed her hand on the window. Her eyes were wet, but not with anger, with something deeper. Recognition, maybe. The way she once saw you. The way she once defended you. When I got home, the house felt heavier than usual, even though I was alone. Every corner whispered memory. The walls still smelled like the life I hadn't yet lived with you. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was honest, and sometimes honesty is the loudest sound in the world. I went to the table, opened my phone, and watched the messages roll in. Relatives, friends, voices that suddenly remembered me. Words like disrespect, embarrassment, selfish. I read every one of them,